A ban list is coming. What's going on, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to break down how a ban list works and the approach I believe Bandai would have to take based off of the previous English ban list and other just general TCG knowledge. We'll talk about cards that could be banned and break down why or why not, then finally conclude with my thoughts on the cards that will be banned. So if you haven't heard the news, we're here on firefist.gg by RJ. Great person, check him out both on X and his site. But during the live stream for Japan Nationals, they did confirm something related to a ban list, and you can see the direct translation here is ban revision announced during World Finals broadcast. Essentially just confirming that they're going to do something with the banning. Now, this can range from a number of things, so let's just talk about what this could mean. It does mean we could see Boat get freed, which honestly would make sense. Now, the big question we want to look at is, would they ban anything else? So, of course, they could just make the revision take Boat off, and that be it. Now, of course, we have to look at this objectively, which means we're probably not getting Beiji banned. It's just not a card that like applies pressure or puts you in a very strong winning position. It's just something that gets you lucky, and unfortunately that is just one of yellow's win conditions because it doesn't do much more than blocker Sanji, and yeah. But let's go ahead and dive in. So now I know, of course, everything is either Sakazuki hate or yellow hate. So can we ban yellow? No. I think the first thing to understand is when creating a ban list, they have to ensure balance. And that's why in the English card game, when we saw hits, it also hit all the decks like both Zoro and Law along with Newgate to create balance. Otherwise, R or Red-Green Law would have been the best deck by miles. And so if clipping one deck, you have to make sure all the others are at balance, or at least there isn't a very clear best deck in format afterward. So we need to take a look at the top decks based off of OnePieceTopDecks.com. Moria and Sakazuki topped pretty much twice as much as any of the other leaders, with Katakuri being third with 32 tops. And you got Sakazuki with 62 and Gecko Moria with 63, with black obviously being the overwhelming majority there, and then Katakuri leading the yellow category. Now, let's talk about what cards could possibly be banned. So, we all know Rebecca, Hina, Lucci, RHL. I think these are the first contenders there that we should take a look at. So now Rebecca, of course, in my opinion, this is the real problem, as she allows you to get double D'd up, so you can get back the Lino, you can get back a Sabo, and then on top of that, you can just get anything back, but you also then get to play a card. But essentially just fetching that so you can go double blocker in one turn guaranteed, regardless if you actually have them, and just create that wall. And sometimes, like, if they just double Rebecca blocker, it's very hard to get through. Or if they, like, hit the Mancheri Rebecca into Blino, and then you're just like, oh, well, I just can't get through this wall of defense, which does happen and can be a win condition for them. Now, of course, with that said, we also have Hina. You know, you play down the Hina with Rebecca, but this card is only good because of Rebecca. So it only makes sense to hit Rebecca, since hard playing this card is very fair, since it has no counter, and the recursion lets you turn it into a free body without clogging your hand. And it doesn't see a ton of play in Moria, so it wouldn't affect both. Rebecca also doesn't see a crazy amount of play in Moria. I've seen lists not play Rebecca at all. However, Rebecca is leading the Sakazuki pack, with that being able to go Rebecca into Hina into Lucci, and then of course Lucci I don't see getting banned because he is needed to keep the CP0 and just the whole CP9 archetype running and keeping their lights on and making that part of the cards feasible, especially with a new leader for Lucci coming in OP07. and you being able to use the searchers like Spandom, I just don't see this card being hit. It just doesn't make fiscal sense for them in a money play. You know, we've seen them do it before when they banned Blocker Marco instead of Swinger Marco, then of course later hit Swinger Marco. Like, this card is also a problem. It was a problem when it first came out. I'm sure they knew it. They just needed to push that OP03 product, so I'm assuming we don't see Lucci be hit for the sake of pushing OP07 product. Now, of course, back to Rebecca. I think Rebecca is the clear winner on that front. But if you just ban Rebecca, it doesn't solve the Moria problem. Now, one thing to keep in mind, of course, this is also Japan. So we need to be very conscious of that because they're going into OP07. And they also already have OP06. Which is why I think it's important to also mention Gecko Moria. From the moment this card came out, I've stood on business that this card is a problem. This card is not balanced by any means. If you're not familiar with the card, on play, choose up to 1 cost 4 or less character and up to 1 cost 2 or less character from your trash. Play one of them, then play the remaining rested. So 1, you can play Moria, get back Blino, and then on top of that, you'll also get back like the dog blocker. And so they have to swing at that blocker, so you already take 1 attack off of you. But on your 8 Dawn turn, for absolutely nothing other than playing this card, you get to play 14 Dawn worth of characters. Absolutely insane. No other card really does that, except for if you triple combo the Luffy, Brook, Nami. And it's exactly 14 on there too. So, I think this card is one of the cards that has to be part of that conversation because this will also carry the Moria deck because you can bring back Elmepo and Absalom, and then with Absalom you can essentially KO a 5-cost character while playing this Moria, which is just really brings it all together. So, of course, that possibly, even if you want to say Borsellino, you could say Borsellino. But that's where we are on that. I think you have to hit this to really just balance the color and to balance Moria. And then on top of that, let's go ahead and move on to yellow. So, of course, I think everybody's like, ban Big Mom. I don't think you can ban Big Mom unless it clearly makes it best deck in the format. And I don't think it gets banned. I think Big Mom possibly goes to 2. Which would be interesting because we've never seen a card go to like less than 4. But if anything, I think Big Mom goes limited, not banned. Mostly because like it just carries. It carries. I think the deck still has legs without it, but you can win games. You can win games. It's just it's very hard. But I don't see it happening unless there is something that, you know, perhaps I'm missing. You know, I haven't tested a format with it without the other cards or what they could possibly do. But as I did mention, when you're clipping 1, you have to make sure everything is balanced to make sure that you're clipping all the right things to keep it going. Then, of course, you have Beiji. I don't think Beiji gets banned again. Beiji doesn't apply pressure. Beiji just saves you. And Sanji and Brule technically do very similar things to that. There just isn't a direct answer to Beige. And I just don't see it, unfortunately. Then, of course, we have Ohm. Now, Ohm is arguably like the best yellow play if you're playing the Sky Island package, and he's the argument to play that package because you go Ohm Holly, you get 7 Dawn worth of characters on your 2nd turn if you're going 2nd, and then if you Ohm Holly, you probably just don't lose on 8 if you go Ohm Holly, and you hit both of them, and you just like it's so strong. So I could see the argument for that if you need to like come down at an L. Maybe even like Yamato, because you've got to keep the balance. You can't just hit the 1, then they get tilted. We're not even looking at Reiju just because I don't think she's there, but I could be wrong. And then we of course have to take a look at red, as well. I know there's a ton of red fans. Now, one of the things obviously is Lucci is the one card that holds back red green law, and we've seen red green law go to distance a million times over. Hasn't shown up an insane amount, but I know Nikki Goldman here just got top 64 at Nats with it, so still has legs. I think Nami is a fair hit to keep things balanced. I don't think it needs anything more, because I think it's just unplayable, like when they had both Nami and Dodon. I think it needs both, but I think like Nami gets rid of a key searcher while still enabling the deck. And so that's why I have Nami listed here. And then of course we have our current bans, Moby and Kabaji. So as far as these go, I think Kabaji stays on just because Nami, and I know it's the question on every Nami player's mind, do I get Kabaji? The answer is probably no, just because we get Nami gets white smoke here soon in OP06, I believe. And then you've got Moby, the boat, and it's just that it's not that great anymore. It's just the power creep has been so much that this card isn't even great. Like, this was like an OP05 card, essentially, and it would have been fine. And we just don't see Newgate that much anymore. So I think that this is okay to come back. I do wish it boosted Ace. Everybody was like, if it comes back, would you play Moby Ace? I'm like, well, it's literally just better because your leader doesn't become 7, unfortunately. But I do think we could see Moby come back. I don't think it's that great anymore. It's obviously still a strong card, but like with just all the control that exists nowadays, it's just you don't keep that many bodies on board like you used to gain its advantage. And then of course my thoughts, if we do see a list, I think we see banned Rebecca, maybe one. And I know everyone who plays Rebecca and plays the Dressrosa are like, it's needed, it's great, and it's just like, yeah, Sakazuki ruined it for the rest of us. Will it be errataed? No, and I can make that a video explaining why that probably just never happens. And definitely let me know if you'd like to see that. Moria, I think Moria is banned or 1. I think it's better banned, but I think like just like Ninebeard, I mean, it's fine at 1. It's not like boat where it needs to be gone. And of course Nami, I think Nami just gets banned. Just so the fact that you can't like continually use it. Maybe 1. I think all of these could be banned or 1-ofs, but I think if we're gonna see hits, this would probably be it. Mostly because Red Green Law, Moria, and Sakazuki, and it just sets that out there. We of course also have Yamato. Yamato could maybe be the downfall of Red Green Law. I could be wrong. At the end of the day, this is all just my opinion. But again, one thing is to note that this is going to be for Japan. Does not confirm that we'll see it over here in the English TCG, because we had a ban list and Japan didn't. But it's always a good building block, and it's quite possible with the removal of the ban that both Bandai US and Bandai Asia have aligned to continue like on the same page with like ban list and things like that. As always, let me know in the comments below what card you think should be banned. And if you're not already subscribed, if you could do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. Over 80% of my viewers are not subscribed. And thank you all for watching.